Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and on this episode we're walking in Memphis. Topic of this Walking in Memphis, CWA from December 21st, 1985. Now the video I'm going to review, first off, if you want to watch it, it is down here in the description. You can click that link and watch that video. This seems to be something I ran upon a couple times in watching these. The playlist that I pulled this from seems to have a couple of these videos that are just highlight videos and obviously edited down. So I don't think this is a full show, and it may be parts of a few different shows. And the quality of the video is very poor. It's a very poor tape, maybe a copy of a copy of a copy, or one that was played multiple times and has deteriorated over time. We are talking almost 40 years ago. With that being said, if you haven't watched my videos before, I do grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale, 5 being the best, 1 being the worst. For Walking in Memphis, we do consider it the whole part of a segment, so basically from commercial break to commercial break. Like I said, with this being edited, I kind of tried to eye it up to see what would be a normal part of a segment, so it's not going to be exact here, but I am going to try. With that being said, let's jump right into it. We start off with a match between the Fabulous Ones and the Midnight Express. This version of the Midnight Express is Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey. The Fabulous Ones are Steve Keirn and Stan Lane. So not only do we get to see what I think is the best version of the Midnight Express, Eaton and Condrey, we get to see the second best version as well, with Lane being on the other side of the match. So 3 of the Midnight Express members are actually in the match. Obviously, Jim Cornette is the manager for the Midnight Express here, and I really enjoyed this match. The Fabulous Ones don't get the same reverence of the Rock and Roll Express or the Midnight Express or even the Rockers. They kind of feel like second fiddle, but they're just as good. I mean, Steve Keirn and Stan Lane are both fantastic wrestlers. Some of the Fabulous Ones in Midnight Express matches are just as good and if not better than some of the Rock and Roll Express Midnight Express ones, which is the feud that everybody considers one of the great feuds in all of wrestling history. This is a really fun match. The Fabs get the win when Cornette interferes, basically causing a DQ for his team. I'm going to give this one a 4. I thought it was really good. Afterwards, Lance Russell says that they'll be back, so obviously that was the end of the show. And again, I don't know if this was just a couple shows put together or just out of order. It is marked as just the 21st of December, so again, take that with a grain of salt if the dates are wrong on this. That is the only match that's shown on this card. The rest of it is all promo segments. First, we get a little bit of a start for a Jerry Lawler show, which was a totally different show, and maybe the interviews or stuff that aired on that. Lawler basically hypes up the Jerry Lawler show, and then that's all we see of that. So for that, I'm giving that a 3 because it didn't go anywhere really. That's followed up with a promo from Bill Dundee, who's saying that later that night he's going to wrestle Jerry Lawler, and if Lawler loses, Lawler's wife Paula Lawler, which say that 1,000 times fast, is going to have her head shaved, much like a couple of years prior to this, Bill Dundee's wife had her head shaved. And knowing what we know about Lawler, I wanted to look it up, but I didn't, to see which wife this was. Was this wife number 3, number 4? I think he's been married 5 times, maybe even more at this point. We then get a promo from Paula Lawler, a sit-down interview that she does with Lance Russell, where she talks about having faith in Lawler, so she was okay with this stipulation. For that, I'm going to give this a 3. Dundee was great. He's always great at promos. I understand why they use Paula Lawler here, and I know it's good for the story, but I don't know, she just didn't do it as a promo. Maybe her and the King together would have been better. Like I said, she drug down the segment, made it a little bit boring in my opinion. Again, I'm giving it a... That's followed up with an interview with the Fantastics. This would be Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers. They're talking about a match against the Sheep Herders that's coming up. And I gotta say, this is probably one of the better Fantastic promos I've seen. Normally they're kind of ho-hum, kind of middle of the road, but they were pretty good here. They were fired up. Another great tag team. It kind of feels, again, like they took a backseat, even more so than the Fabulous Ones, because they kind of felt like a secondary version of the Fabulous One. That's followed up with a promo by the Sheep Herders, which are their opponents. This version is Rip Rogers and Jonathan Boyd. and they had another guy with him. I forget what the other guy's name was, but it wasn't Luke or Butch, which would go on to be the Bushwhackers. And I don't remember, and I want to say the more famous Sheep Herders Fantastics matches are the ones with Butch Miller and Luke Williams, not the ones with Jonathan Boyd. But I might be wrong. These could be just as good. That's followed up with another promo with Bill Dundee talking about his match again later on against Lawler. And then finally we get a promo with Jerry the King Lawler, and we get about half a promo and the video goes off. So basically that got cut in half. It's possible they ran out of tape on this tape. Like I said, this could be a mismatch of 3 different episodes and this was the end of the tape and they just didn't get the end of his promo. But from what we did see, it was pretty good. For that last segment, all the promos, Dundee, the Fantastic, Sheep Herders, the portion of Lawler promo we've seen, I'm going to give that a... Overall, I'm going to say this was promo quality. It was great. The match that they showed was great. Video quality is going to take a few notches down, so I'm going to give this one a 3. There's times in the Fabulous Ones and Midnight Express match where you can't tell who is who. That's how bad the quality is, and their faces are so distorted. So it's a hard watch, but it's a good match, if that makes sense. I would recommend checking this out. The major part of the bad or the middle of the road rating is the quality of the video, but it is fun. The promos are going to be the promos. I mean, you don't have to necessarily see the wrestler to see a good promo. Like I said, I'm going to give this one a 3. I thought it was pretty middle of the road. Now, with that being said, let's smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. If you see where it says join, that's how you become a channel member. Being a channel member will get you shout-outs and early access to some videos, a custom emoji. Shout out to Chris. Thank you for becoming a member, Chris. And if you made it all the way to the end here, we had a lot of great tag teams here. Out of these tag teams, the Fabulous Ones, the Midnight Express, the Fantastics, the Sheep Herders, even Lawler and Dundee, you could consider them a tag team because they won tag team gold together at times. Which of these tag teams is your favorite? Let me know down here in the comments. Again, I'm trying to fight against the YouTube algorithm that seems to be changed and not promoting videos as much as it used to be. So the more we could get engagement, likes, shares, comments, the more they're gonna go back to normal, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I digress. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and we've been walking in Memphis.